What's good, YouTube? Welcome back. Today it is the Lazy Daze Channel, and we're back at it again with some more history reaction for you guys today. And we're back on the Kings and Generals content for you, and we're back onto the Diadochi Wars, the Battle of Gaza, 312 BC. We're really enjoying this content over here. We're enjoying this series as well, and the storyline to this one. So without further ado, we will just jump into this. But if you're enjoying our content, then please like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and we'll just jump straight into this. A link for Kings and Generals channel will be in the description box down below. If you haven't checked out his content already, please head over.
In 316 BC, on the plains of Gabene, one of the greatest rivalries in antiquity has ended in dramatic battle and betrayal. Victorious against Eumenes, Antigonus was now the most powerful man in Asia. Yet for him, this was just the start.
Okay.
For this aging general, being Lord of Asia was not enough. He wanted more.
I mean, you always want more when you're a conqueror, right? Or a leader.
The Wars of the Successors had only just begun. Having ordered the execution of his opponent, Antigonus now set about deciding the fate of Eumenes' army. Much of it was incorporated into his own force, with a few exceptions. Eudemus, who had come to aid Eumenes from India, was executed, as was the captain of the Silver Shields, Antigonus.
Ooh, the captain of the Silver Shields as well. That's a big one.
As for the Silver Shields themselves, Antigonus had no intention of enlisting them. They had already proven their disloyalty to Eumenes in the previous battle, and although excellent fighters, Antigonus did not trust them.
Right, okay, because that kind of makes sense. At first, I was like, why are you not going to use them? Like, the Silver Shields are insanely strong, but loyalty is more important, and that's just in life. Do you know what I mean? You need loyalty more than anyone capable, you know. Yeah, do you know what I mean? Someone who's loyal to you can get a lot more done than someone who's capable, I think.
They were sent to the harsh mountainous region of Arakosha, where they were subtly disposed of, fighting against hostile mountain tribes. Antigonus now headed back west, stamping his new mark on the Asian provinces. His former ally, Python, who had once been a bodyguard of Alexander the Great, was executed for planning a revolt, while Peucestus, who had deserted Eumenes at Gabene, was removed as the satrap of Persia and imprisoned.
He's really doing
in the
some
autumn
work on
of
the
316 BC,
doing some work on the political side of things.
Antigonus reached Babylon, which was then controlled by a Macedonian governor named Seleucus. Another of Alexander's former commanders, Seleucus had been a leading instigator in the murder of Perdiccas and had aided Antigonus greatly in his war with Eumenes. Yet this friendship soon turned sour. A dispute erupted, and Seleucus, fearing a similar fate to Python, fled. Leaving almost everything behind except his horse, he headed to Ptolemy in Egypt, informing him of Antigonus's increasingly despotic behavior. Alarmed, Ptolemy reached out to his fellow governors, to Lysimachus in Thrace and Asander in Caria. Equally disturbed, they sent an envoy to Antigonus as he reached Syria. They claimed they had been invaluable allies in the war against Eumenes and demanded large swathes of land. They also demanded Seleucus and Peucestus be reinstated. Antigonus bluntly refused, and the war became inevitable.
Mate, those pikes
Antigonus
are so
now
long.
found himself opposed on multiple fronts, with his situation becoming even more challenging as he discovered that Cassander, the victor of a bloody civil war in Macedonia, had also joined the ranks of the opposing coalition. Determined to strike first, Antigonus led his armies south, taking over Phoenicia and many of the petty kingdoms of Cyprus from Ptolemy. Antigonus knew his fundamental weakness was in his lack of ships. Ptolemy's undisputed naval control of the eastern Mediterranean would prove deadly if it wasn't contained.
So how's he going to deal with this?
Antigonus ordered his newly acquired maritime Phoenician cities with the building of a great armada.
Okay.
At the same time, he dispatched several of his generals to fight enemies on other key battlegrounds. He sent his nephew, Ptolemaeus, to fight against Asander in Asia Minor, and Aristodemus to Greece, to aid Polyperchon's remaining forces against Cassander. As for Antigonus himself, he pressed south through the Levant, capturing the cities of Gaza and Joppa from Ptolemy. Fresh from this success, Antigonus fortified the 2 captured cities and returned to Tyre in Phoenicia, which had been resisting defiantly with the aid of Ptolemy's navy. Yet by then, a large portion of Antigonus's new fleet was ready.
So he was just buying time.
Under the command of Dioscurides, Antigonus dispatched his ships to the Aegean, intending to gain naval domination. Antigonus remained near Tyre until its eventual capitulation in the summer of 314 BC.
Okay.
And news now reached him of events in Asia Minor.
So Antigonus has got like a lot of coastal lines here.
His nephew Ptolemaeus had fought a very successful campaign in Caria against the forces of Asander. Further good news was to follow, as he learnt that his navy now dominated the Aegean.
Just what he needed.
Antigonus sensed a great opportunity. This was the time to crush Cassander, Asander, and the rest of his rivals for good.
Now, can he do it? That's the question.
In the summer of 314 BC, his son Demetrius, who had been by his father's side ever since the death of Alexander, was left to defend the Antigonid holdings in the Levant with a substantial force, while Antigonus started moving the main army north, across the Taurus Mountains.
Okay.
The young Demetrius was now in charge of protecting his family's new won lands in the Levant from an increasingly active Ptolemy. Yet Antigonus did not leave him completely unaided.
Okay.
The revered admiral of Alexander, Nearchus, and a capable commander, Python, the son of Agenor, were left with him, along with a force of 18,000 men and 43
that's a big
elephants.
force. They should still be able
Demetrius
to do a lot.
remained in Celesyria, awaiting news of any aggression by Ptolemy that was sure to come. In 313 BC, Ptolemy made his move. Crossing from Cyprus, he raided the coastline of Cilicia with a small force. Demetrius, having been expecting an attack from Egypt, was caught completely off guard. He quickly force-marched his lighter forces north to Cilicia.
Bad mistake.
Yet before
He's now too far away from the places he's supposed to be defending. Surely Ptolemy is now going to start doing coastal runs against Tyre and Joppa.
he could arrive,
Terrible pronunciation.
Ptolemy had already departed, sailing back to Egypt. Having returned to Egypt, Ptolemy was now encouraged by Seleucus to reconquer Celesyria. Knowing Antigonus was far away in Asia Minor, Ptolemy was easily persuaded, and he gathered a large army consisting of Macedonians, Egyptians,
Okay, Demetrius,
and various
it's
mercenaries.
on you. Can you handle this?
In the
job?
early spring of 312 BC, Ptolemy led his army out of Egypt towards Gaza. There, Demetrius was waiting for him. Ignoring the advice of his counselors to avoid open battle against Seleucus and Ptolemy, 2 of the greatest generals of the time, the young Demetrius was determined to protect his father's territory. On a large plain, somewhere between the city of Gaza and the Bezor River, the forces would clash. Demetrius's army was smaller than that of Ptolemy's, with the young Antigonid having 18,000 men, compared to Ptolemy's 22,000. Yet Demetrius remained undeterred and deployed his forces for battle. On his left wing, Demetrius deployed almost 3,000 of his strongest cavalry, along with himself and his advisors. Among these horsemen were 800 of the elite Macedonian companion cavalry and 100 specialized Tarentines, the lightly armed horsemen with javelins and swift mounts. In front of his left wing, Demetrius deployed 30 elephants, with 1,500 light infantry armed with javelins and bows, interspaced between the beasts.
Okay, that makes sense.
In his center, Demetrius deployed his phalanx, 11,000 men strong. 2,000 of them were Macedonians, with the rest being mainly mercenaries.
That's a problem.
He placed his 13 remaining elephants in front. The remainder of his army, some 1,500 cavalry, were positioned on his right wing. As for Ptolemy and Seleucus, they initially placed their strongest cavalry on their left wing. Yet seeing Demetrius' deployment, the two veteran commanders quickly reorganized, placing themselves and 3,000 of their strongest cavalry on their right, directly opposing Demetrius. In front of them, Ptolemy placed his engineers, armed with large metal spikes, designed specially to counter any elephant charge. These they placed at regular intervals, upright in the ground in front of Ptolemy's left wing. Light-armed javelin men and archers were also stationed behind these traps. In the center, Ptolemy deployed his 18,000 infantry, including Macedonians, mercenaries, and Egyptians, with his remaining 1,000 cavalry on his left. The battle commenced with a cavalry charge on the extreme left of Demetrius' wing. At first, Demetrius' cavalry managed to get the better of their opponents and caused Ptolemy's horsemen to retreat. Yet quickly adapting their strategy, Ptolemy and Seleucus then led the remaining cavalry on their right wing into battle, riding around Demetrius' left flank and charging in with their spears. The cavalry battle lasted a long time, and many distinguished figures fell on either side, most notably Demetrius' advisor, Python. Yet neither side was able to gain an advantage. Finally, Demetrius ordered his elephants forward, hoping to panic Ptolemy's infantry and win the battle. It was not to be. As these tanks of ancient warfare advanced towards Ptolemy's right, they came under a hail of javelins and arrows from Ptolemy's light infantry. Under fire, many of their handlers now desperately charged their beasts forwards, right into the sharp spikes Ptolemy's engineers had deployed. Carnage ensued. The handlers were shot down, and almost all the elephants were either captured or killed. Seeing the death of the elephants, Demetrius' army panicked. Various units of his cavalry now peeled off and began to flee towards Gaza. Demetrius' attempts to rally his forces proved in vain. Reluctantly, he was forced to order his army to commence an ordered retreat. Yet his infantry phalanx, which had never even engaged the enemy, had different ideas. Many threw down their arms, abandoning their formations and any remaining order they had, becoming easy prey for Ptolemy and Seleucus' victorious army. In one move, over 8,000 of Demetrius' infantry was taken prisoner by Ptolemy. The Antigonid army had suffered a crushing defeat.
This is not good for Antigonus.
Gaza fell to Ptolemy's forces soon after the battle. Demetrius had been humiliated. With the remnants of his army, he withdrew into Phoenicia, while Ptolemy would march further into the Levant, as far as Tyre. Thanks to the defeat at Gaza, the fortune of the Antigonids appeared to have turned, and their demise seemed close.
It is not good for him. He's battling three fronts.
We often say,
isn't he? That's insane. I'm really enjoying this and finding out more about this series. I'm looking forward to finding out what happens in the next episode. If you guys are enjoying our content, then please like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and we will catch you in the next video.